Welcome back, everybody, to Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jeremy Lapidus. If you are just tuning in, we've just talked a lot about college basketball. We talked about the women's final game. South Carolina takes home their third championship, a huge win for them and the program. They finished a perfect season. Just the 10th time in history that has happened, the 5th program in history to do it. Congratulations to them. That team was absolutely dominant. The men's Final Four happened over the weekend. We talked about that. Alabama did not have enough firepower to keep up with UConn, and DJ Burns did not do enough to outduel Purdue and Zach Edey, as the matchup between UConn and Purdue is set for tonight. We'll talk about, we talked about that matchup as well. I have UConn winning it. And then we talked about coaching changes. The big one, John Calipari being moving out of Kentucky to Arkansas, what that means for the future of Kentucky, the future of Arkansas basketball, and how and why that even happened as well. We talked about all of that, so go check that out earlier. In this segment, we're going to talk about baseball. The big story coming out of this weekend is pitcher injuries. There were, in the span of 48 hours, 3 major pitching injuries to major players that might have won the Cy Young this season, the way that they were pitching, the way they were projected to pitch, and it sucks to see. But there's been, a huge uptick in pitching injuries, catastrophic pitching injuries at that. So all of that and more, but before we do, remember that if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show, you already are. All you do is go to GSMCpodcast.net. We have a nation with a message in it. It'll pop up at the bottom of the screen. We'll have a little discussion about what you had to say. You control what we talk about here in the show. You have a burning question, comment, anything. Go to podcast.net, make a donation with it. We'll have a discussion about what you say. Anything you do give, and you guys for listening. But like I was saying, this final segment, we're going to talk about the concerning uptick over pitching injuries. And it's not just these minor injuries. You have injuries happen all the time to pitchers because it's a violent motion when you're pitching baseball. It's not like just toss the ball. You are controlling your body, getting all spin on its hand, and you're throwing it as hard as you possibly can. Sometimes over 100 times a day. You pitch 100 times as hard as possible for starters, especially. And you do that twice a week. Every 5 days. It takes a toll on your arm. It really does. It's not great. There's stories of pitchers not being able to use their arm anymore. Most recent one that comes to mind is Steven Strasburg, who retired officially yesterday. 2019 World Series MVP, he can't even really use his arm anymore because of how much he messed it up. And that's what the big attention that's being put on this is because the MLBPA put out a statement after 2020 AL Cy Young and Cy candidate this year, Spencer Strider, one of the best young pitchers in the game, as well as incredible reliever Yuri Perez, young pitcher Yuri Perez. They all have huge potential injuries. I know Yuri Perez and JD are both getting Tommy John. Spencer Strider's injury does not look too good. He got an MRI on arm. But it's not just them. That's just what happened this weekend. 3 huge players getting injured. The MLBPA is saying the pitch clock. And they're saying, hey, these players are maybe faster and hurt them. It's not these guys. We already met Steven Strasburg. But Shohei Ohtani is not hitting all season. Jake Contra, Robbie Ray, all these guys are hurt right now. Shane McClanahan, Gio, Garrett Cole is out. Huge names that are being. It sucks because it is the most essential part to a baseball game. If you don't have a pitcher, you're not going to win that game because it's pitch games. You throw a strike, you're just going to home a million runs. You can't throw the ball hard enough where a batter's not going to hit it. You're in trouble. They're going to put up a million runs on you, hit a million runs, so forth. Pitching is so important. But there has been a concerning uptick in injuries. Question from Kirito MVP 11: Why does Warriors fan try and chase Klay Thompson out of town? We'll talk about that soon, but real briefly, he just hasn't been playing his best. Ever since his injury, he hasn't been the same. So we'll cover the Warriors and Klay Thompson actually a little bit tomorrow, but that has not been very good this season. We're getting back to pitcher injuries. Like we said, there's been this huge injuries, and the MLBPA comes out a couple days ago over the weekend, and says the pitch clock is causing it. The pitch clock is the reason we want the pitch clock banned. The NBA is for this. The MLB comes out and says, no, we're not. It's not the pitch clock. We've done studies, and it shows that the pitch clock is not the reason. Because pitchers are throwing harder. You know, you have pitchers now touching 105 miles an hour. 105 miles an hour. I don't know if this is true, but I remember reading something a little while ago saying, hey, the fastest peak human being, no steroids or anything, theoretically, we think the fastest someone can throw a baseball accurately is 110. We are getting there. There's a reach of theoretically possible for human beings. These guys are coming out there and they're throwing 100. Like I said, 90 times a game. They're throwing this ball super hard with these new spin rates and everything. They're getting this new technology. It's on their arm. Another reason why we see less and less pitchers be that 8-inning, 7-inning every single day, because you can't throw hard and have your arm last that long. Now, there's always exceptions to the rule. You know, we still have Max Scherzer throwing. We still have Justin Verlander. Those guys have both hurt. You know, there's always exceptions to rules, but in general, it's a little concerning, and MLB needs to figure this out, because it's not the pitch clock. They've done studies. This wasn't something they pulled out of nowhere. Doing studies, because it's a concern that upticks in pitching injuries are happening, especially to stars, because, like I said, you can't just throw a scrub out to a pitcher. You know, you might be able to hide someone at second base. It's not going to be fun for your baseball team if you're throwing a scrub out there at second base, but you're going to be able to get away with it a lot easier if you throw someone that's not at base. But if you throw someone that's at base, it's obvious, you know? He gets teed off on, or he can't throw a strike, and it's a disaster. Baseball needs, and they've got plenty of pitchers, right? It's not getting the best, and it sucks. You want the best. You want Lucas Giolito out there. You want Shohei Ohtani pitching. That's what you want. You want these big megastars out there pitching, but they're not because of injuries. Injuries happen. You know, injuries don't happen. You get the best players and the best guys every single night. But we're human. We're prone to breaking. We're prone to injuries. That's just part of what makes sport so exciting. You know, you never know when it's gonna end, and it's a sad thing about sports, but it's real life. You know, it's not like no one ever gets hurt and respawn like a video game. It's not like that. Anything can happen at a time. You just have to appreciate the greatness that you see, because it's not going to last forever. Injuries, age, whatever. Retirement, anything. They're going to figure out how to reduce injuries. It's tough. Like I said, these players are throwing consistently hard, and it might just be something that's down to you to have 6 starter on your team, so that you only start once a week instead of once every 5 days. An extra rest day is going to help these guys. There's teams that you just have to try things, and sometimes it won't work, sometimes it will. But there's different ways to build your lineup. Pitching injuries are going to continue to happen. What I think it is just they're throwing it harder. And when you throw something, when you put more effort into something, you're more likely to get hurt. Because, you know, easy on it. If something's going to go, it's going to go when you are overextending it, when you're overdoing it. And if you're just kind of going easy, you're never going to overdo it. But you have to in these sports like baseball. I know it doesn't seem like that much effort, but especially for pitchers, you know, it's so hard to throw something 100 miles an hour over and over and over again and keep doing it. It's super impressive. It really is. But anyway, there's no one good way to fix this. I think the best way to do it, you have to watch them, you know, and unfortunately the thing with elbow injuries, it's not like a bruise where you can see it. It's not really something that you feel coming. You know, it just happens sometimes. And I don't think, because most of these injuries were happening at a more alarming rate before the pitch clock anyway. There's not one good solution for it. There's no solution for injuries. And it is definitely a problem. And the MLP is just going to have to change its rotation. You know, the NFL backup emergency quarterbacks. Maybe MLB has to do something like you designate someone not officially on the roster, but it just happens. And they have a minor, so it's not quite the same. They have these pitchers ready to go, but it's an interesting situation. Something to keep monitoring. It is a concern. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning to the episode of Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jeremy Lapidus. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. We'll be back here same time, same place tomorrow. I'll see you then. Bye-bye. Let's go.
wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet. Damn, ain't that great. I don't wanna go.